Amol Patil. Okay, it has started. Once again, good morning to all. In the last class, we looked into some of the basics of electrical circuits. What are the basic components of the electrical circuit? And today we are going to see what is Ohm's law, and we are going to see some problems based on the Ohm's law, as well as the DC circuit types of DC circuits. So just before we go ahead with Ohm's law, just a quick review. This is simple circuit. In a circuit, we will have active components. We provide energy to the circuit, and there are some passive components or the sinks which takes energy, and it is connected with the conductor so that it forms a closed electrical path, and current flows from the positive plate of the EMF source or the voltage source to the through the resistor to the negative plate of the EMF source or the voltage source. And we understood what is electric current. Electric current is a flow of free electrons. And how do we measure the strength of electric current? Strength of electric current is the nothing but the rate of flow of electrical charge or the free electrons. So we can write I is equal to Q by T. Current can be represented in either ampere unit or coulombs per second. And total electric charge is nothing but number of electrons flowing. So N is the number of electrons into E is the electric charge on a single electron. And it's a constant. It is given by 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulomb. We understood what is the electric potential. Electric potential is nothing but the capacity of the charged body to do work in an electrical circuit. So we have to do certain amount of work to charge a body, and once we charge the body, that work is stored in terms of a potential energy. And once it has a potential energy, it has a capacity to do the work. The capacity of a charged body to do the work in an electrical circuit is called as an electric potential, and it is represented by capital V and sometimes capital E. Electrical potential is equal to work done divided by charge W by Q. The unit is we represent it by volt or joule per coulomb. And what is the potential difference? When work is done to charge the bodies, based on how much work is done to charge the bodies, they will have a different potential. And if we have a two electrical bodies with a different potential, the difference between their potential is called as a potential difference. And current will flow only when there is a difference in the potential. If there is no difference in the potential, electrons will not flow. For example, this A is at 5 volt and B is at 3 volt. If we connect, the current will flow from the conventional current will flow from the higher potential body to the lower potential body. And how long the current will flow? As long as there is a difference in the potential. Once the both the bodies attain the same potential, the current will stop. And the unit for the electric potential, since it is a difference of the potentials, so the unit will remain the volt or joules per coulomb. Excuse me. And what is electromotive force? It is the force which will make the current, it will tend the current to flow. Means it will try circulate the current in the closed loop. So closed loop should be there. In this example, we have two resistors connected to an electrical EMF source or the voltage source of 5 volt. So current will flow from the positive plate through the node A through the resistor and B and C. The current will flow from through the resistor when there is a difference in the potential. The potential VA would be at a higher potential than compared to VB. That is how the current will flow here. And unit of EMF is also it is a voltage. So you can synonymously, I told you, synonymously you can think of electrical potential, electrical voltage, potential difference, voltage difference, EMF source. So all are represented in volts. Resistance, this is the opposition offered by substance to the flow of the electrons through its body, and certain different bodies offer different resistances. Based on that, there are certain bodies which allow free electrons to flow easily through their body. Those are called as a conductors. Examples are aluminum, copper, silver. Those are the examples of good conductors. And there are some bad conductors of the electron, means they will not allow free flow of the electrons through their body, or they allow very limited amount. Those are called as a bad conductors, or you can say it is a insulators. Example, glass, wood. And resistance of a material depends on various factors. It depends on the what is the length, and what is the it is directly proportional to length, and it is inversely proportional to the uh, area of cross section. Directly proportional to the length means as the length increases, resistance increases. Inversely proportional to area of cross section, as the area of cross section becomes large, the resistance will reduce. As the area of cross section decreases, the resistance will increase. And what resistance also depends on the nature of the material, the property of the material itself. Resistance depends upon. And another factor is the temperature. So it resistance increases with the temperature, directly proportional. And we can write the equation as R resistance is proportional to L divided by A, or we can write R is equal to rho L by A, where rho is the resistivity or the specific resistance which is constant for a particular material. Okay, now we'll study the Ohm's law. Now we have understood all the different components of a electrical circuit. Now we'll study Ohm's law. What the Ohm's law does is, Ohm's law gives the relation between some of these entities, and this particular Ohm's law is named by a German scientist, George Law. It gives a relation between the voltage that is applied to the circuit, the amount of current flowing, and the resistance of the circuit. So it gives a relation between them. The statement of the Ohm's law is, it states that at constant temperature, temperature is Ohm's law doesn't hold good if constant temperature is not constant. You have to remember whenever you are stating, even in the final exam, you can check the video question papers which is available online. Repeatedly they have asked Ohm's law and Kirchhoff's law, okay, and problems based on the Ohm's law and Kirchhoff's law. uh, Please make sure that you memorize, okay, understand and memorize the statement. Don't miss this word constant temperature. You have to say that it states that at constant temperature. Ohm's law holds good only at constant temperature. If temperature is changing, Ohm's law will not give the correct results. Okay. At constant temperature, the current flowing through the any conductor is directly proportional to the voltage that is applied between the two ends of the conductor. Okay, so you have to remember the amount of current that is flowing through a conductor is proportional to the directly proportional to the voltage that is applied between its ends. If the applied voltage is more, then the current is more. Okay, so equation, if we write with this statement, we will say current is directly proportional to the voltage across that conductor. Then I is directly proportional to V. That is I, and I told you all the notations that we use for representing these different elements of the DC circuit. Whenever we talk about DC circuit, we use the capital letters. Okay, capital I represents the current is directly proportional to the voltage, or we can also say voltage is directly proportional to I. So if we resolve this proportionality symbol, V is equal to I into R. Okay. So here V is nothing but the voltage that is applied across the conductor. Okay. Uh, Then I is the current flowing through the conductor, and R is the resistance of the conductor. Okay, this is the simple circuit. We have a resistor with a resistance of R, and the applied voltage across it is V, and the current flowing in the circuit is represented by I. So here you can see these are conductors. Whenever you see these wires, you can assume those are conductors, and for all practical purposes we assume that these do not have any kind of a resistance. Only resistance is this one, resistor. So whatever the voltage you have applied, everything gets applied across the resistor. Here you can say E is equal to V. Okay, it is just a representation. V is the voltage across resistor. So if this is the circuit, then applying the Ohm's law, we get V is equal to I into R, and you can write it in different forms. If you know the suppose you are doing the circuit analysis, you know current flowing through the resistance and resistance of that particular resistor, then you can find the voltage. Okay, so you can rewrite that equation different way. I is equal to V by R is equal to V by I. So remember, this is the important equation. V is equal to IR, which represents the Ohm's law. Graphical representation of the voltage and current relation. If you represent the voltage and the current on a graph, okay, the current being on the x-axis and voltage being on the y-axis. If you apply different voltages across the resistor and measure the current, if you plot, so you will get a linear relation between the voltage and I, and the slope of that particular linear relation is given by R is equal to VI, which is nothing but the resistance. If you plot the line, the slope will give the resistance. It is straight line passing through the origin. Resistance is the slope of the graph. Okay, so there are certain limitations of the Ohm's law. First thing is the Ohm's law works only when the temperature is constant, and Ohm's law is not applicable to some of the other materials like the semiconductors and all those things. So that is the limitation of the Ohm's law. Then we'll understand the electric power. So before we talk about the electric power, what do you understand by general meaning of the power? What is a power?
Form of energy.
Hmm?
Strength.
Kiran?
Form of
What is
energy, sir.
form of energy? Okay. Anybody else? What do you understand by
Rate
power?
Strength.
rate of doing work.
Work done upon unit time.
Rate of doing work.
Okay, perfect. Rate of doing work. So power, we everybody understand. A simple example you can take is like suppose if we ask an adult and one child to dig a pit, okay, maybe 5 feet. Since the pit will be dimension is like 5 feet or whatever the dimension, same dimension they are going to dig. If both start the work at the same time, adult and a child, so adult will finish that work in, let's say, just this is assumption, let's say he will finish that work in 1 hour, and the child will take more, maybe like 3 hours. So here what is the difference? The amount of work done is both is same. The adult as well as the kid, they did the same amount of work, but the adult is able to finish that work faster, right? The reason being, adult has a more power than compared to the child. That is correct. Capacity to do work done per time, that is correct. So if you have more power, you can do more. The rate of doing work is more. So if there is a JCB, maybe it will do it in like 5 minutes, right? So that is because it has much more power compared to the adult or the kid. That is correct. So rate at which work is done in an electric circuit is called as a electric power. And just a simple example, like um, if you consider, you bring the bulb, right, electric bulb, LED bulb. So you bring 9 watt, 15 watt, 20 watt, isn't it? If the wattage is more, what happens? The illumination is more, right? The amount of work done is, the rate at which the work is done is more, the illumination is more. So more power. If you have like a one motor with a power of let's say, excuse me, 1 horsepower, that is a how they represent the power in motor, 1 HP, the amount of water it can pump will be less compared to if I have a 2 horsepower. Okay, because the power is more. With that definition, so we understand what is a electric power. It is the rate at which the work is done in an electric circuit is called its power. And power is given by the equation. This is the equation: work done in electric circuit divided by time. Whenever you see the word rate, the means it is always checked against the time. So in the denominator you will find the time. Time. So this is the circuit. We have a resistor, a node A and B, and the voltage across this resistor is represented by capital V, and the current that is flowing is I. So how much electric charge is flowing? Q is equal to I into T, because we know I is equal to Q by T. So Q is equal to I into T. So V is the potential difference or the voltage across the AB in volts. I is current, R is the resistance between AB, T is the time for which the current flows. When the voltage is applied to a circuit, it causes the current to flow through it. So work is being done in moving the electrons in the circuit. So what kind of a work is being done in an electrical circuit? So the electrons being moved in the circuit, that is the work done. Work done in moving the electrons in a unit time is called as a electric power. So this is the small derivation to get the equation for the power. We know that electric power, what is the electric power? It is the work done in electrical circuit divided by time, and electric power is represented with the capital letter P. P is equal to work divided by T. And if you remember the definition of electric potential, okay, formula of electrical potential is equal to work divided by the total charge. So V is equal to work divided by Q. So this is the equation for the power, work divided by T, and we know that voltage is equal to work divided by Q. Therefore, work is equal to, if I write this equation, work is equal to V into Q. That is the first equation. So we got work is equal to V into Q. And we know what is the strength of electric current. It is the rate of flow of the electric charge. I is equal to Q by T. Therefore, Q is equal to I into T. That is the second equation. Now we have work is equal to V into Q, and Q is IT, that is VIT. From equation 1 and 2, work is equal to voltage into current into time. We are going to replace this in this equation. So if you replace that, what you are going to get? P is equal to, work is represented as voltage into current into time divided by time. Time will get cancelled. What remains is the electric power is equal to nothing but the voltage into current. So how do you find the power? In order to find the power of anything, you will find what is the voltage across that element and how much current is flowing through that particular resistor. So if you ask the question, how much power is consumed in this resistor, because it is a passive element, it is going to consume. How much power is consumed in this particular resistor? That is V, that is the voltage across resistor, into I. That is the total power consumed, and power is represented in terms of watts. Okay, and the higher powers are represented in kilowatts. Kilowatts is, it is 1,000 watt. we know the Ohm's law, right? Ohm's law gives the relation between Vi and R. V is equal to IR. If I replace V and I in terms of Ohm's law, I will get another two flavors. One flavor of a power equation is P is equal to voltage into current. Suppose let us say I replace the V using the Ohm's law. What is V using the Ohm's law? V is equal to IR. So if I put IR into I will get I square R. P is equal to I square R. P power can be represented as I square R. And if you replace the current with the Ohm's law equation, what you get is P is equal to V square divided by R. These are the three different forms. You need not remember all. If you remember P is equal to VI and V is equal to IR, that is sufficient. Why we have to have these different forms is whenever they give the problem for the analysis, what parameters will be known and what will be unknown, depending upon that you can choose appropriate equation. Let us say there are in particular problem they have asked the power and they have given only voltage and the resistance, so you can directly use the V square by R. Okay. If you don't want to do that, that is fine. If in particular circuit analysis they have given voltage and resistance, using V and R you can find out I, isn't it? So using Ohm's law relation, V is given, R is given, you can find the current. Once you know the current, V into current, that is the power. So electric power is joules per second or watts. That is the unit for the electrical power. What is energy?
The ability to do work.
Ability to do the work. Anything else? Energy.
The capacity to do work.
No. Capacity to do work is what? Potential, isn't it? I know everybody has understanding of these terms, but putting them in actual terms is a little tricky. Exact words to be used. Okay, energy. When you say a person has more energy,
When more work is done.
wow, exactly. If you can do more work, okay, then you can say energy is more. For example, that digging a pit, if you ask them to dig those as many as pits, okay, maybe the adult will be able to dig five pits, and maybe the child will do maybe two. So the total work done, that is called as a energy. So the energy of the adult is more. Not only power. Power is rate of doing the work. Okay. Potential is capacity to do the work. The total work that is getting done, that is called the energy. If you have more energy, more work can be done. That is correct, Suresh. Very good. So electrical energy, total work done in an electric circuit is called as a electrical energy. And how the electrical energy formula is, electrical energy is equal to electric power into a time. Okay. And what is electrical power? Excuse me. The energy is equal to electrical power into time. That is P into T, and power can be represented in three forms: VI, I square R, or V square by R. Depending upon that, energy can be represented in three different forms. Energy is equal to V into I into time is equal to I square R into time is equal to V square time divided by R. So electrical energy is represented in terms of a kilowatt hour, okay, kWh, or different forms like based on what is the time. If time is represented as seconds, it is watt seconds. If power is represented as kilowatt, and if time is represented as hour, then it is kilowatt hour. Normally the your household energy consumption, that will be whatever you call as a one unit, that is nothing but a kilowatt hour. So the energy meter everybody must have seen in your house, right? That is the what that energy meter is doing is inside your house you have different devices with a different power, right? LED bulb has 9 watt, 10 watt, 20 watt. Your TV has certain amount of power. Your laptop, the power requirement is different. You have uh, your refrigerator, washing machine, which works at a higher power. So what it will do is the power, how long you are running that particular equipment. Let us say you have one equipment which takes 1000 watt power, and you are keeping that on for 1 hour, then it will consume 1 kilowatt hour, right? It is power into time. All that total power consumption that is happening in your inside your house by the various equipment, that is calculated by your energy meter. So you must have seen the switchboard in your house. Inside the switchboard there would be energy meter. Maybe it is very similar to this, depending upon whether it's a old or new digital. There are different energy meters are there, but something similar to this which will calculate the energy consumption inside your house. So let us solve some problem. I hope everybody has a pen and paper ready with you, and also you would require a calculator, scientific calculator for this particular subject. You will need scientific calculator so that you can solve the problems. Okay, so if you have pen and paper, please take down the problem, try to solve it. What is the problem? A resistor of 50 ohm has a potential difference of 100 volt DC across it for 1 hour. Calculate power and energy. So they have given the resistor. First task is to draw the circuit diagram. So you draw the a resistor, okay, and resistor, across resistor, what is the potential difference? The potential difference is 100 volt. So they have given resistance and they have given the voltage across it. So and it is applied for 1 hour. What is the power? What would be the power? Calculate. Which formula you will use in this case to calculate the power?
Into I. V into I.
Okay, V into I. So you have to calculate I.
So power 200 watts.
Power 200 watts. Okay. Just recalculate. Any answer? Any other answer?
So 200 watt.
200.
200 watt.
Okay, that is correct. You can use the formula V square divided by R. V square is 100 into 100 divided by 50. So 50, you can divide the first 100 as 2. 2 into 100, 200. What would be the energy?
So 72,000 kilowatt hour.
You are making mistake in writing the unit. What should be the unit?
Energy,
E-
joule.
Joules, right? Second, right? Because you have converted it to a second. Anybody else got it?
So 12,000 joules.
12,000 joule.
12,000. Okay, let us see the solution. Okay, so here the first part is very simple. P is equal to V square by R. So what you have to do is, even though I have not run the circuit here, whenever you get a problem, any kind of a problem, first draw the circuit diagram and mark all the given values and write all the given values. R is 50 ohm, capital V is 100 volt, T is 1 hour. In exam, whether you want to keep it in 1 hour, you want to keep it in a minute or you want to keep it in a second. Your units should be according to that. So examiner will give marks for based on your units. So there is nothing wrong if I say, okay, first is power, v square by r, 100 square divided by 50, 200 watt. Now energy, when I am writing the equation for the energy, p into t, p is in watt. Okay, t either you can choose to keep it in hour or you can keep it choose to keep it in a second. Okay, both are correct, but you have to write the proper units, right? Here what they have done is, here they have converted into the seconds. That comes as 3600. 2000 into 3600, it will come as a 720,000 joules. Okay, 720 kilojoules, or you can say this is a watt second. If you don't want to do that, you want to keep it as 1 hour, then write 200 into 1, then unit would be what?
Kilowatt hour.
Watt hour. If you want to
Watt.
convert it to kilowatt hour, you have to divide this 200 by 1000, isn't it? How to make 200? Now it is 200 watt. How to convert it into kilowatt? So
Divided by
200.
1000.
Okay, correct. 200 divided by 1000, divided by 1000 and multiplied by 1000, and unit is watt. So 200 divided by 1000 will become 0.2, and 1000 into watt, you can convert that into kilowatt. So 0.2 kilowatt hour. Whatever the form you are representing the answer, all are right as long as you write the unit properly. Unit is very, very important. Clear? Okay. Next problem. A heating element supplies 300 kilojoules in 50 minutes. Find the potential difference across the element when current is 2 ampere. So draw the circuit diagram. Heating element supplies how much? 300 kilojoules, and in 50 minutes. So what you have to find? You have to find the potential difference at is 2 amperes. Please try to find the answer. Find the potential difference you have to find. Okay, good.
So 0.05 kilojoules.
No, 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 no. Potential difference is represented as a voltage, isn't it? Uh, 3 volt. I'm not sure about the answer. I will check for some other answers.
Sir, can you
Show the problem.
Sir, 0.5 volts.
0.5 volts. Somebody has given 3 volt. Let me see one more answer. If it matches, then we'll see the solution.
0.05 volt.
0.05 volt. Okay. Okay, let us go for the
0.5.
0.5.
Yes.
Okay.
0.5 volts.
Okay, let us go for the solution. Okay, so they have given the total amount of work done. They have given it in the kilojoules. First is the draw the circuit diagram. This is the heating element. Okay, one thing you have to remember is, any, they say like a heating element, a bulb is connected or some other thing is connected, everything is a representation of a resistor, because in case of a DC circuit only there is a resistance. So this resistance is connected to a voltage source. We have to find the voltage difference. Current is given, work done is given, how much? 300 kilojoules, that is 300 into 10 raised to 3 joules, and time 50 minutes is given. We will convert it into seconds. 50 into 60, 3000. So work done is this much, time is 3000 second. Then total charge, how much is the charge? Q is equal to I into T, so 2 into 3000. Whenever you are calculating the earlier energy, you can represent as kilowatt hour or watt hour or watt second. But when you are calculating, when you are using it in this formula for the potential, it should be represented in the watt second. Please remember that. Okay, it should be always watt second. So the best thing is what? Always go to the basic units. If it is kilojoules, go to the joules. If it is kilowatt, go to the watt. If it is a time, go to the second. So all the confusions will be cleared. So how much charge? Total charge is 6000 coulomb. And for potential difference, we know the formula. They have given the work already, 300 into 10 raised to 3 joules divided by total charge. So those who have got 0.5, 0.05, this is the problem. Somewhere you have missed this, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So
Kilowatt hour.
kilo. So what you can do is like henceforth we will make a standard. Even though energy can be represented in, unless and until, sometimes they will ask in the example, in the exam, in the problem, they will say what is the kilowatt kWh energy utilized by the circuit, then you can do that. Otherwise, always go with the basic units. So if it is time, go to seconds. If it is work, go to joule. If it is power, go to watt. Don't go with any other derived units. Okay, so 50 volt is the potential difference across the heating element. Next one. How many kilowatts will be required to light a factory in which 250 lamps, each taking 1.3 amperes at 230 volts, are used? So it is a big factory is there, and to light that factory there are 250 lamps are there, and each of those 250 lamps, they take a current of 1.3 amperes, and at what voltage? 230 volt. What you have to find? How many kilowatts? See here, they have asked how many kilowatts. They are asking power. How much power will be consumed in that factory in terms of kilowatts? Can you do this?
So 299 kilowatt.
299 kilowatt. I think that is correct. So how you did that?
So P is equal to V into I.
That is for one lamp, right?
Yes, sir.
Then 250 times that much power, isn't it? Anybody else?
72,750.
Okay, and some other answer. Okay, let's wait for one or two other answers. There are 250 similar lamps are there, and each lamp it takes 1.3 ampere at a 230 volt. So I is given for the lamp, V is given for the lamp. So we should be able to calculate power for one lamp. How much power is consumed by one lamp? If you know the power consumed by one lamp, then we can calculate power consumed by 250 lamps.
74,750.
Is it in kilowatt? See, the question is
Sir.
specifically,
Kilo- 74,750 watt.
okay, 74 kilowatt, that is 74 point something kilowatt. Okay, let us see the answer. Draw the circuit diagram. Power required by one lamp. Okay, for one lamp, how much power is required? P is equal to VI is the formula. Okay, PL is the power required by one lamp, 230 into 1.3. Okay, so PL is equal to 299 watt. Correct. In the question they have asked how many kilowatt. How to convert this into kilowatt? You multiply it by 1000 and divide by 1000. So 1000 watt becomes kilowatt. 299 divided by 1000 becomes 0.299 kilowatt. The power consumed by one lamp is 0.299 kilowatt. So how much power will be consumed by 250 lamps? It is just the multiplication. One bulb consumes this much power. 250 bulbs, how many? So 250 total power consumed by the factory is 250 into power consumed by one lamp. And what is the power consumed by the one lamp? 0.299. So 250 into 0.299. That is correct. Somebody last one, because my presentation was on, I don't know who told that answer, but last one is correct. So 74.77, 74.75 kilowatt. So you have to be very careful. In the question they have asked how many kilowatt. What will happen is, they suppose if you put it as 74,755 watt, answer is not wrong. There is a chance that some evaluators they might deduct 1 or 1.5 marks, right? Why you want to lose that? Whatever has been asked, you just give that. Okay, if they ask how much power will be consumed, so it is your wish. If you want to represent in watt, kilowatt, that is your wish. But in the problem itself they have asked how many kilowatts, so they want to specifically know in terms of a kilowatt. So if you don't represent in whatever the unit they have asked, they might deduct 1 or 2 marks. Better to follow what units if it is specified. Otherwise, you can choose your own units, which units is convenient. Okay. Next, we'll see the what is a DC circuit. You have already understood what is a DC circuit. It is a closed path having a direct current, that is called as a DC circuit. This is the example where bulb is connected to a DC source, voltage source, and that will result in the flow of the current, and there will be voltage across that particular bulb. And this bulb is nothing but a load, and it is represented as a resistor. Any load in case of a DC circuit is nothing but a, a resistor. Any load is a resistor load. And there are these DC circuits are classified into three categories. One is series circuits, parallel circuits, and series parallel circuits. So series circuit, we will understand what is series circuit, what is the characteristics, and we'll see what is a parallel circuit, and then we will see what is series parallel circuit. So I think generally you understand what is series and what is parallel. Just this is a question just I want to ask, just to understand your understanding the basic electricity that is available in your household. So what kind of a connection you think you have in your household? Is it series or parallel?
Parallel.
Parallel.
Why parallel?
Parallel.
Correct. Parallel is correct. Why?
So current is divided.
Current is divided. Correct. But is there any reason why it is not series?
Sir, if there happens any circuit, then all the connection will not get blasted.
Correct. Very good. You are very close. See,
Closed loop, sir.
If one is damaged, then others will not work. So.
Yeah, that is very good answer.
It
And
cannot be operated independently each other.
Resistance low.
Resistance is not a question here. One is damage, and one more girl. What you said?
They cannot be operated independently of each
Very,
other.
very good. That is the reason when you are in your house, if you switch off your fan, nothing happens to the. If light is on, TV is on, nothing happens to it, right? Every load, so you can call it as a load. Every TV is a load. lamp is a load, fan is a load. Every load is connected with a switch. So that is in a parallel path. When you switch off, that particular circuit is disconnected. Like it is like I have a switch here, I have a switch here, I switch off. Switch off is basically it will open this circuit. So current flowing will stop, this particular load will stop. So all these loads are connected in parallel. That's a good answer. We'll see the first series circuit. So as the name suggests, and which is very obvious, in case of a series circuit, the resistance are connected end to end. Means one resistor to its end, another resistor is connected, to its end, another resistor is connected, and this whole combination is connected across the voltage source. Okay. So the DC circuit in which resistances are connected end to end, so that there is only one path for current to flow is called as a DC circuit. This is the example. We have three DC circuit. See, one of the problems we solved, there were 250 lamps were there, right? So if they want to light the factory, maybe like either they will light all or they will not light all of them, right? Either factory is working, they require all the lights, or they don't require the lights. That's a good case where they can put them in a series. What is the advantage in that? The advantage here is additional wiring is saved, because every bulb you have to take out, put it in parallel. And your switchboard, how many switches will be there? If I put all the 250 lamps, that from the example, factory example, if I put all the 250 lamps in parallel, how many switches will be there in my switchboard?
250.
250, right?
50.
Okay, 250, and additional wire that will cost more, right? Every bulb will have two wires and it will be connected to the switch, and operating 250 lamps. So what they will do in such scenarios, maybe based on what is their requirement, they might either group 50 lamps, okay, into one group, or which covers one area. Those will be connected in series, and they will be provided with only one switch. If that switch is switched on, 50 lights will glow. So they will end up with 5 switches for the 250 lamps, which are grouped into 50, right? Okay. This particular example, we have 3 resistors connected to end. Okay, R1, R2, R3 are the resistances. They are connected in series, and they are connected across a voltage source having a voltage of V, which will result in a current I. Okay, when the current is flowing in each of these resistors, depending upon the resistor, the amount of voltage drop that we are going to get is different. Okay, the same current I will flow through that. If this results in a let us say this is a 50 volt, and this results in a 10 ampere of current, same 10 ampere current will flow through R1, R2 as well as R3, but they have different resistances. So what will happen is, based on their resistance, the voltage potential difference, or the voltage across that resistor would be different. If the resistance is less, then the voltage across that particular resistance would be less. If resistance is more, the voltage across that particular resistor would be more. Why? We know V is equal to I into R, isn't it? So I is constant, because the same amount of current will flow. V is equal to IR, I is constant. So what the voltage will depend on? It depends on the resistor. If resistance is more, voltage drop is more. If resistance is less, voltage drop is less. So that is represented. V1 is the voltage across R1, V2 is the voltage across R2, and V3 is the voltage across R3. And we can apply the Ohm's law at each of these resistors, right? We know that what is the current. Current is I, R1 and V1. Current is I, R2, V2. Current is I, R3, V3. So we can apply the Ohm's law. Voltage across various resistance, we can write V1 is equal to I into R1, V2 is equal to I into R2, V3 is equal to I into R3. These are the different voltages. Now, from this circuit, whatever the voltage I apply, right? I have applied 50 volt. That 50 volt will get distributed among three, right? The total voltage that you have applied, if you have 3 elements, it will get distributed among 3. If you have 4 elements, it will get distributed among the 4. So the applied voltage V is equal to V1 plus V2 plus V3. Applied voltage V is equal to individual voltages across each of the resistor, V1 plus V2 plus V3. And we replace this V1, V2, V3 with these values. And what we get, V is equal to I into R1, I into R2, I into R3. I is common, the current is common, so you can take it out. What you get is V is equal to I into R1 plus R2 plus R3. Or you can say V by I is equal to R1 plus R2 plus R3. Now I can replace this circuit. Okay, this circuit which is having 3 resistors, I can replace this circuit with only one resistance. For the same applied voltage, it will result in the same amount of current. The amount of current will not change. So I can replace with a total resistance Rs. This Rs value would be R1 plus R2 plus R3. The effect of having 3 resistors. Let us say, for simplicity, the resistors are 10 ohm, 10 ohm, 10 ohm. I can replace those circuit with a simplified version. So this is just a process of simplification. Instead of having 3 resistors of 10 ohm, 10 ohm, 10 ohm, I will replace them with a single resistor which is having 30 ohm. So Rs I can replace with so this is the equivalent circuit for this circuit. So it will have the same amount of current for the same applied voltage. So here also the applied voltage is same. It will result in the same amount of current. For example, I told this is 50 volt. If you apply 50 volt, it will result 10 amperes in that earlier circuit. Here also, if you apply 50 volt, it will result in 10 ampere. So in case of a series connected resistors, the equivalent resistance is given by the sum of the individual resistances. So Rs is equal to, Rs represents the total resistance of the resistors connected in series, is equal to R1 plus R2 plus R3 plus so on plus Rn. So these are the elements that are connected in series. The sum of those resistances will give the effective resistance of a series connected circuit. So today we'll stop at this point.